Okay, I'll be recording this lesson as well, just in case you need to go back and refresh your memory at the end. So by now you should have your sketchbook, you should have pencil, colored pencil, and you should have the quick candy project pulled up on half of your screen, and then this demonstration pulled up on the other. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the second slide, and you're going to pick one of the candies. For the pictures I took yesterday, I did Reese's, but I think I'm going to be going with, let's do Twix today. But you can pick any candy that you would like to do, and you can even just zoom in on that one. I have the rest of the slides there with what I'm going to be going through today, but I will be going through all of those steps in due time. So you don't need to necessarily follow along with the presentation itself if you just want to focus on your candy, because I will be going over everything in more detail during this presentation. So like I said, I'm going with Twix. So what you're going to do is you can draw it about life size. Imagine these are like the fun size candies, and you can draw it at about life size on your paper. I'm going to go a little bit bigger so that you can see. But what you're doing right now is you're just doing the basic outline of the project, not of the project, of the candy itself. So you're not doing too many details, you're not doing any shading at all, you're just doing the outline. So right now you would have the option of either doing the letters, doing the little details, or not. It does help if you kind of block them in first. And so you can prepare for that. So what's really important to remember when you are using colored pencils is to draw very light, because you don't want to press down hard and make indents on your paper, because the colored pencil will sit in those areas. It makes indents and it makes it really hard to fill in general. So it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be the general outline. So after you have it sketched in, I know mine is kind of harder to see. Let's see if I can. Oh, that makes it worse. So you just have the general outline on there. What you are going to be doing now is, after you have the outline done, you're going to be taking out your color pencils and you're going to be burnishing it, not burnishing it, you're going to be shading in the shadows and just the shadows. You are not going to be touching the highlights, and you're not going to be touching anything that's just a base color or just a plain color. You're only going to be shading. So when we are shading, when we're putting in our shadows, you don't want to use black, because what would happen is, if you, per se, have an object that is orange or yellow, the black will end up looking like a bluish tone. What you want to do instead is match the dark shadow color to the object itself. So I'm doing Twix, so I'm going to be picking like a dark brown color or a dark red color or like a burnt umber color to block in my shadows. But you just use colors that are on the shadier side. So a dark green, a dark blue, maybe if you're doing Baby Ruth or Crunch or Butterfinger. When I did the Reese's, I used a deep red color along with a brown to fill in my shadows. So if you would like to take the time to block in your shadow shapes, you can, but you don't need to do that necessarily. But you are going to go in with the lightest shading, let's see, the lightest shading you can, just in the shadow areas. With colored pencil, you do need to layer, you do need to build the color up slowly. It's not a fast process. That's why when you normally see a colored pencil drawing, they are usually smaller because it does take a long time to build up colored pencil. So I'm going in very lightly right now. I'm going in at about the same tone, the same value range all the way around for right now, just so I can get a visualize, oh my gosh, I can't say that word, an idea of where my shadows are. So glad I caught that on camera. So I'm just going in right now. So also use different colors. When you're doing this, don't just stick with the same one. Using different colors gives you a variety of tones and tonal difference in your drawing, and it makes it look more dimensional and not nearly as flat. So you should have your shadow areas blocked in right now, just using about 1 or 2 colors. And then what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be branching out a little bit with the color itself. So I have the Twix, and I just used like the burnt umber color that I have with me. Now it's going to be the part where you start to add a little bit more value, because you know that shadows don't normally have just a sharp edge, unless like the candy. I know the Twix that I'm looking at does have like a sharper edge, but they do blend and they are not harsh. So now I'm going in and I'm very lightly just blending out that edge. And I am even putting the color in the areas where there aren't as many shadows. And I am barely touching the paper right now as I do this. But this is just to start building a bunch of layers with the colors. This will help you in the long run with that. So another thing you would like to do is also go in with other colors and start going in with the base color. So a base color is going to be the color that is the general color of your object. So like for Reese's, that general color is orange. For Kit Kat, that general color is red. For the Crunch Bar, there's 3 there. So you have blue, you do have white, which you just will leave that space blank, and then you have the red. So you're going to be lightly going in with the base color. So for Twix, I don't really have a colored pencil that is the same as my base color, so I'm going to rely on just layering them. And I know that with the gold color, that could be a mixture of more brownish colors, a little bit of a copper red color, and yellow. So I'm going to very, very lightly go in and start doing this. At the beginning process of using colored pencil, you are never going to apply heavy pressure right away. When you're using colored pencil in this format, it's not like just coloring in a coloring book. You can't just go in heavy from the get-go. You need to layer the colors gently. And I know that Miss Fitchie was a big fan of using the blending stumps, and I am not going to be using them because I personally am not a fan of them. When future projects, like if you need to use them, like obviously you can, but I won't make it a requirement to use the blending stumps. So this is going to be our way of kind of blending and shading our colors without the use of those. So you are just lightly going in right now and layering the colors. I'm not adding any value yet to my project. I am just layering in those colors. Now it'd also be the point if you want to block in any colors. So like the Twix, the red on the Twix letters themselves, those are there. Those are not in any shadows. There's no tonal variation in those. So I can go in with just my red color and I can lightly outline that area. So I know to avoid it with my general shading that I am doing. I'm not going to really color it in yet because it will dampen the rest of the page. It'll make it look very muted. And we don't want to do that too fast because then we will automatically just feel that urge to layer in heavy colors, and we don't want to do that quite yet. Okay, so right now we still have not gone in really heavily with any colored pencil. That is about to change. So you're going to pull back out the colors that you originally shaded with, and you are going to start adding value now. So you're going to start varying the pressure a little bit more, and you're going to be reaching those darker tones that you've probably been wanting to reach. So you're going to just be starting in the darker areas using heavier pressure, and then you're going to ease up. You still don't really want to press down too hard. You don't want to press down all the way because we're still going to be layering colors on top of one another, but it is okay to go in a little bit heavier now with the pencil. And this is just with the shadow colors that you chose. So like the browns or burnt umbers or darker shades of any color you might be using.